Hi guys, welcome to the channel. If you're human and watching this video, please do subscribe. We're checking out some coins in the privacy world today. We've got Zcash, we have Dash to look at, and we also have Monero during this insane crash that we're seeing in the markets right now. So firstly, the Bitcoin dominance has taken a little bit of a hit, hasn't it? It's really come down quite a bit over the last 2 weeks from 61.49% to 59.51%. But more so, what's very bad for Bitcoin right now is that it's just fallen below this white line. And to some, that might not be a critical factor, but that is the 50-week moving average, and we're almost closing. We've got 6 days, 5 hours left to try and recover this. But if we close under this 50-week moving average, there's a very high chance that the bull run might be ending for some time. Now, according to Artemis, over the last 7 days, privacy coins have still been the top tier and top performing category of coins. So I wanted to just talk about some of these tokens that we were recently talking about in my Discord and other various places as well, because a lot of you didn't actually know what privacy coins were, with the narrative of privacy and anonymity becoming such a big thing right now. So we can see Zcash is one of these coins that recently did super well, actually pumped up to $732 and corrected majorly. And we can see on the 24 hours here, it's $634. So it slipped away just slightly from $720. And yeah, down to $634. So quite the correction, I think. You know, quite a correction here, nothing too bad. And even though Bitcoin's down a lot, Zcash hasn't moved down, that much. It says here, Zcash is encrypted electronic cash, the first crypto to develop ZK knowledge encryption for private peer-to-peer payment. So really, really interesting to see this one, of course. And here is the, the Zcash charts right here and exactly how it's kind of looking on that weekly time frame. It's still holding up very, very strong, which is interesting to see. Of course, it's very overextended from its 200-week and 50-week moving average. Also a bit overbought on the relative strength index. So I wouldn't be aping in at this level. But, it's still interesting to see that we've got this overhead resistance here, and we've also got a bunch of support over here, which is basically right here. So yeah, loads of support at $418 here for Zcash and a bunch of resistance at 737. Should Zcash actually somehow pump back up, because it is looking very resilient against the whole drop right here, there's a chance we can go into $700+. But of course, the entire market is bleeding out, so naturally you would expect Zcash to drop now. So that's all for you to think of. If you want more insights, signals around Zcash and stuff, we have got people trading Zcash, following some of the signals in the Discord right here. So please get yourself into the Discord. We've got over 40,000 beautiful people in here. You can see we're all talking about crypto, we're all just sharing insights and our love for the markets right now. Remember, you build at the bottom, yield at the top. Also got Dash here, which has suffered a bit more, 13% down on the 24-hour period. Obviously, it had a great run in April this year, and it tried to also have a good rally and hit $100 just a few weeks ago. But this one's also bled out quite a bit. Dash, another privacy-based token that we can see right here. Now, looking at Dash, it's far, far away from its previous all-time high. However, it did actually perform quite well, I would say. Just looking at the recent data we've got here and the way the price structure looks, on that daily time frame, it's not the worst. Definitely not the worst, but you can see, yeah, lots of overhead clipping. We've really, lost a major amount of support right here, just there. And here we can see this is a descending channel pattern now that we're starting to form. So if we do lose support, which key level of support is $77, then there is, of course, the chance that we will drop down even lower to like $50 or something like that. Again, difficult to say. Are we going to see highs of $150 again? I would not be betting on that in this particular market, or even assuming that can happen. I do think it's possible to see lows of $60 again for Dash if we do not pick up and this market does not turn around and Bitcoin not to pump again. But right now, it's an insane start to the week. Next up, we have Monero, one of the larger ones, $7.46 billion. Zcash is actually sitting at $10 billion, so it did flip Monero, XMR over here. But looking at XMR, we can see, in November so far, it did have a good run to $450+. Didn't do amazing, but right now, XLM is trying its best to hold the line. It's trying its best to hold this $400 mark. But I think it will indeed struggle, perhaps. Depends. We might retest. I'm on the wrong chart right here. Can you believe it? Hang on, ignore that, guys, ignore that. Let's find the actual correct one, XMR. So yeah, either way, we can see, we topped out big time, hit overbought on the relative strength index a couple times as well. Here's a vertical line right here. And, we hit overbought on the relative strength index here too. So primarily, just looking at some of the key areas here of support, we've got about $300 here for Zcash. And also this would align us roughly with the 50-day moving average. So for me, it makes sense to see a lot of these coins drop. So 30% to the downside for XMR would put us onto $300, which would put us straight onto the 50-week moving average, which makes sense to me. Obviously, there's a ton of resistance at these prior all-time high tops, and I'm talking about these tops right here, around $400. And I don't think we will see XMR rally back through those levels. Of course, it topped as well at $479. Now, you could probably look at this chart and think, well, we've got this, increasing support zone. We've got this symmetrical triangle forming right now for XMR, and there's a chance that we could break out of it. That's very true. We could hit $400+ in terms of Fibonacci targets of 0.5 and 0.618, folks. We could try to assume that we might bounce 10% to the upside and hit this very interesting price level just here. But I don't think there's a high chance of this occurring right now. I think we're actually more likely to see downside continuation, falling short, perhaps falling down to the 340 eventually if we bleed out for this market. If it does continue to bleed in the way that we're thinking it might, that's probably an area of interest around $340 or something like that, to expect downside if the rest of the market is trying to move down at the same time, because it all moves together in one very, very pugilistic orchestration. So yeah, guys, Bitcoin dominance still looking pretty strong, versus the market capital of the entire market. However, the Bitcoin price is suffering on that 50-week moving average. So it's hard to say for sure what will 100% happen. Zcash down 7%, Dash down 13%. Monero is actually somehow up 2% on those 24-hour period. And in general, quite excited to see where this could go. All of these charts for these private tokens not looking terrible, in this monthly time frame, especially Zcash and XMR. I think they're really battling it out together, really holding that line together. But these private coins, nothing lasts forever, but hopefully this will be different this time. I want to say thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new here, like, comment, share with a friend.